Welcome back to the show, everyone. Things are heating up. I know we had a flash crash, but the conversation about whether XRP could become a strategic reserve for the United States government just got hotter. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $3.21 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's off by 8.3%. Bitcoin, 94,900 plus. Ethereum, 2,500 plus. Tether now back at the number 3 spot due to the flash crash here. XRP at $2.35, number 4 spot. We got off by 15.7% in the 24-hour. We're off by 18.4% on the 7-day. Oh, we saw a lot of crash go on yesterday, and I think a lot of it was related to the tariffs. I told you guys over the last week or two, I believe the tariff conversation along with the Crypto Council, Strategic Asset Reserve for Digital Assets, Stockpile, I think all of these things are absolutely connected. And I think the crash that we saw happen over the weekend was all tied into the tariff talks and the reaction around the world. And the rest of the markets are getting beat up too. But nonetheless, let's keep moving. I got a lot for you to see today. Ranging between $1.94 and $2.85. I'll tell you, I got it just about at $2. You know, you can't guess where the bottom's going to be. And this is why I dollar cost average. I just had a great conversation with my buddy Shane the other day. We were talking through text, and we were basically acknowledging exactly that. Nobody can guess where the bottom is. And the people who say, well, I'm going to get in when it gets to the bottom. But then they miss the bottom because nobody gets an email about where the bottom actually is. And the only way to determine where a bottom is to see that it's no longer in the bottom, which means you missed it. That's why I dollar cost average and I buy the dip as it goes. And I actually buy the dip, it goes down, and if it goes down again, I try to buy it again, if I've got funds to do so. Luckily, I did, so that's what happened last night, not financial advice. But Trump plans to sign the executive order, which he has done, and the creation of the Crypto Council is coming next. And we know the discussion about whether we have a strategic Bitcoin or crypto reserve is actually what they're looking at now for the United States. And all of that will be probably about summertime when that 180 days runs out, June or July. We'll keep you posted. But the conversation has gotten very, very real, ladies and gentlemen. Elon Musk states the U.S. Treasury should be put on the blockchain. Mario Nawfal asked, should the Treasury be put on the blockchain so this doesn't happen? In response to the tweet that Elon Musk said that career Treasury officials are breaking the law every hour of every day by approving payments that are fraudulent or do not match the funding law passed by Congress. And his response to Mario's question about whether it should be Treasury should be put on blockchain is simply yes. Okay. Well, this is where I remind you about Open Eden last year announcing tokenized U.S. Treasury bills supported on the XRP ledger. And then we also know about the breaking news that just came down the pipe, which is Ondo Finance bringing tokenized U.S. Treasuries to the XRP ledger as well, backed by BlackRock Biddle Fund. Right? And would it be so crazy for us to think that, the U.S. government would adopt a blockchain like the XRP ledger? I've been over this with you in the conversation I've had with Chris Giancarlo. It's not out of his realm of thought and process that something like this could go down. Mine either. And we're already tokenizing treasuries on the blockchain. And guess what else? Remember when we joined FedNow? Yeah, Ripple is nearly among the 60 partners approved to integrate with FedNow. Well, what are they integrating? Soccer balls or blockchain? It's blockchain. So is it so far of a leap for us to think that the U.S. Treasury could use the same thing that they're using for FedNow? There's a bit of speculation in all of that, but you know what? I like where it's looking. I like the way it's looking. Remember, March 10th, 2025, we're supposed to see a single-day implementation of ISO 20022 messaging format. That's going to be helpful. And then Attorney Jeremy Hogan drops this perspective. And boy, does it remind me of something I've got for you. Look at what he says. Let me just throw out a thought on XRP as a part of a U.S. digital asset strategic reserve. Almost everyone on CryptoX is looking at the issue from a crypto perspective. Is it decentralized? How are validators chosen, etc.? None of that really matters to the federal government. A strategic reserve is an asset, i.e. gold or oil, that the government believes it should hold in reserve in order to protect the people from something. If the U.S. government chooses to hold XRP in a reserve, it will be because it thinks there is a benefit, maybe a hedge against some future contingency. And maybe, just maybe, the U.S. government has greater insight into geopolitical events that would necessitate the need to have a store of XRP in the future than Joe Smith, Bitcoin enthusiast. And maybe the U.S. government knows that if Ripple were to do anything to jeopardize the XRP network, etc., it could simply take control of Ripple, think World War II, or confiscate the XRP escrow, think 1933 gold. Maybe the federal government isn't looking at this from a crypto perspective like people on here are. Just some random thoughts. Well, to add to those random thoughts, a few years ago, I had a conversation with Attorney Seal and Attorney Jeremy Hogan about this very thing. The recent creation of a crypto council is looking at digital assets as a possible strategic reserve stockpile has brought the conversation right back to where it all started for me. If the U.S. government wants to escrow XRP, it will have it. Jeremy Hogan. Underpin the U.S. dollar to protect the dominance, not replace it. XRP, this was always the plan. At least to me, it's always been the plan. Take a listen.
Experts on you, and I know you know all of them, Brad, and they've called me out and said, oh, the Ripple, the escrow is locked in time released, escrow accounts, and they, you need a consensus. And I said, look, in my experience, if the government wants something, they're going to find a way to get it. So, if to my understanding, there's about 45 billion XRP held in an independent escrow accounts on the XRPO, right? So the consensus protocol controls the ledger, the mechanics, and which in turn dictates how that XRP is released from month to month. So to my understanding, it's released. They released, $1 billion, and then Ripple was selling a chunk of it, and then the rest was put back in escrow. So if I was arguing for the government, I'd say, if I was arguing for the government and saying, look, I'm exercising my eminent domain powers to expropriate private property for public use, and the Ripple argument would be, well, it's locked in time-released escrow. My next question would be, well, when is it released? Oh, well, next month. Okay, well, that's when I want it, right? So,
He's got a great point, and I do remember this conversation. Now, let me cue this up for you where Jeremy comes in.
Absolutely. Well, what Seal just said is, I'm not one to rain on a good speculation parade, so I'm going to go with you guys here. So here's my take on it. So if the U.S. government wants the escrowed XRP, it will have it. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt in my mind. And I think most U.S. citizens that aren't involved in the law in any great detail don't realize how exposed we are to our government. There's only two things that separates that XRP, if the government wants it, from Ripple and the government. One, there's your vote, because if people think that they're going to lose their vote and get kicked out of office if they do something, they won't do it. And two, there's the U.S. Constitution. And the U.S. Constitution provides some protections for something like this, and that's what Seal was referring to. I think on Twitter he was talking about eminent domain, which is I think that's the 8th Amendment.
Under the Fifth Amendment, it's the takings clause under the 5th. Yeah, it's under the 5th, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the 5th. It's the takings clause, I think.
Okay. I'm getting kind of old, so memory's going. But,
We all are.
so that's part of the Constitution. But really, the protection in the Constitution would be the 14th, which is kind of is equal protection. So, you're taking Ripple's XRP, but you're not taking other people's cryptocurrencies. And so that would be your argument. But all the government has to do in that situation, and if you go to remember law school, we got the rational basis test, and we have strict scrutiny. As soon as I passed the bar, I tried to forget it, but it's just stuck in my head. So this would be probably a rational basis test. So all the government would have to do is come up with a rational basis why the XRP was necessary or required for some nice government function, and it's gone. That's what they did with the, what do they call them? I think I wrote it down here. Was it SIFMU? What's that stand for, Brad?
The SIFMU, the Systemically Important Financial Market Utility or Market Infrastructure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy enough for them to say, well, this is a matter of important government financial policy, and therefore we're going to be taking your XRP from the ledger. And I also know it's on the escrow and it's time released, and that's fine because the government can come in like the doctor when the baby's born, grab it and take it. So
see you again next month, right?
Yeah, and next month and next month and next month. Mm-hmm. Now, it's pretty powerful when you think of it, and think of the moment we're in. Now, this was years ago we did this conversation. Years ago we had this conversation. This is where I've been in my mindset since before I was even an influencer. 2017, when I got into this space, this is where my brother and I were. I mean, it just there's no going back. Mentally, to me, where this is coming with the strategic reserve conversation, the crypto council, crypto czar, full Congress and president and administration embracing crypto as an economic pillar, this conversation has gotten more relevant than it ever has been. Now let's listen to this because, you think about the recent creation of the crypto council to determine if XRP and other digital assets should be held in a strategic reserve stockpile. Well, here's one example of how the U.S. government can acquire the XRP escrow from Quincy Jones.
Financial advice, but that is my personal perspective. And
remember, Ripple pilots private ledgers. We found all of that out a few years ago too, right? Now let's get into here where the conversation gets going with Quincy explaining to On the Chain exactly what we've been talking about for years.
Developer on here, and it seems to be a continuation of the conversation that we had right here on this channel about him and I talked about the escrow and about how the government could come in every month and become the steward instead of Ripple becoming the steward of the escrow. We're not talking about what you hold or what I hold on the retail market and retail investors hold. We're talking about the escrow release every month. And what he's about to explain to you, I believe, is exactly what we've been talking about for years now, and just how easily the government could confiscate and or the escrow and provide an XRP price set. Don't believe it, but it's still true. We can't take this off the table just yet.
And as in price set, it doesn't mean that somebody swings a gavel and says, now it's $100. If you listen to this conversation, the way Quincy explains it, the U.S. government could buy the escrow up to a certain price point, right? Because they could actually buy the escrow out, and then that could set the price at a certain level.
And I find that fact itself fascinating. All these years, 4+ years being invested in this asset, and no one has been able to dismiss the idea that we may in fact see an XRP price set. And I'm about to play you a clip now from Chip and Jeff, and shout out to both of those guys and Quincy about.
But in terms of something like different like entities going after the escrow, I think that'd be the biggest thing. And I think that would set the context for everything that would stem off of that. So if there are any sort of regulations based off of how you could treat XRP and there was some sort of confiscation event, I think it'd be them confiscating the escrow and then setting the rules off of how you could treat XRP based off of that event.
Now listen.
So a follow-up for that, Quincy. What's the mechanism where somebody could come in and actually take the escrow? Because as you know, it's validator nodes that are set up. You need the 80% consensus once an amendment is put forth. So I'm saying, like, what mechanism or regulation would they currently use? I don't think anything exists right now.
I'm glad.
Now, he's glad he's asked that question, and Quincy's getting ready to give him a straight answer. He asked it that way too, because I think people hear the word confiscate the escrow and they think that they're going to break the escrow arrangement. I don't think that that's going to happen at all. The arrangement right now is that every month a billion XRP are released to Ripple, and they are the steward of that escrow. Now imagine that every month when that is released, imagine the U.S. government buying it, and let's have Quincy give you the rest.
I'm glad you said that. That is so brilliant that you said that, because the answer is so simple, and when you say it out loud, the answer is so simple. And you want to take a guess what it is?
I could take a guess. Yeah, I could take a guess. I mean, when it comes to the government, anything is possible.
It's actually very simple. It's a one size fit all simple solution. It's actually kind of funny, and you guys will love it. It's really simple. And
lay it on us, man.
So the way that the government will confiscate the escrow isn't so much that they'll confiscate it, but they'll buy it, and they'll buy every single month's escrow release at whatever price to set liquidity at the price. You see what I mean? That's them setting the price of XRP at buying it at a certain price, setting liquidity, will set liquidity for the rest of the market on top of any sort of regulatory frameworks they want to set. So they won't confiscate it because, they're forcing them to confiscate it. They'll just force a buyout from the escrow every month at whatever price to set liquidity in the market.
There you have it. That's how easy that can go down. And it'd be a very natural reaction to set the price. And it'd be an open market that did so, because once they make that purchase, the price is the price. Looking at this very quickly because of the crash we had. Before the crash, I pointed out in the chart that a 40% drop was possible along with the target and the edge of the channel. He sure did. It's all right there. Now the bulls are buying up everything. We've kept these things steady, and our next goal is to push XRP above $3. If we do that, we could start the next bullish wave. That's what's going on here. And he goes on down in here. I think there was an answer down in here we want. Yeah. Hi, Egg Red Crypto. Appreciate as usual. Can we well expect that we fast or slow go back to $3? He says, let's see what the information will be formed, but I am in the camp that wave 2 corrective is finished. Now we will work our ass up to Fibonacci 1.618 to $6.40 range. So look, all these targets are still there. These flash crashes and things, I believe, are related to tariffs. It's not financial advice. It's my personal opinion. And I think all the markets have suffered. And you've seen whether it's a variance of more or less, the entire crypto market has taken a hit. And so have the equities market. So the rendezvous happened. Check out his post from January 3rd, 2025, where he talked about the rendezvous between the bull market support band and the price. And this is where it is, right here. The rendezvous happened right there, right? $2 mark. You can see he's got it right there. We saw right about that mark. I mean, these guys, the way they see this stuff, he said, I mentioned that a higher rendezvous price, the better. It just happened around $1.78, which is a strong level for us to meet. The bulls are scooping up everything like there's no tomorrow. We're currently forming a long-legged candle, which is a bullish sign. Closing above the Fibonacci level 0.702 is definitely bullish, but we need to break through the 0.786 Fibonacci level at 283 and ultimately reach 330. So these are our targets to really get to that 640 plus. That's what we're waiting on now, right? So that's going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. It's not financial advice from me or anyone else. Got a great clip in the Freedom Zone right now. It's about a 20-minute clip. I wanted to put it up separate because it's so long. But it is very good, and it is really highlighting the corruption and how prosecutors against Trump were receiving government-funded money to do so. It's absolutely mind-blowing. You should really go in and join the clip. You can join the clip by going to the link underneath the video, clicking the Freedom Zone link, and come on in. I'll catch all of you on the next one. Not financial advice from me or anyone else.